documenting the front lines of the AI revolution, the AI Rebels podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the AI Rebels podcast. We're very excited to have Cyrus here with us. Cyrus, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Cyrus is calling in from his offices in McKinney, Texas, which has just recently they are aiming to become the AI hub of Texas, which is very exciting, which is fitting, coming from Cyrus, an AI law expert that we're having on here. Cyrus, can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're coming from?
Sure. Well, we only hit what we aim at. So if McKinney aims to be the AI hub of Texas, we will be. So I'm a big believer in that in my life. Learned it over the years of 22 years of law, that what we aim at is what we hit. So if we don't aim at it, we're not going to hit it. I began at the University of San Francisco as an undergrad. I was political science and international relations. I studied India and China primarily, with a heavy emphasis on the mid 20th century China and the economic development of India also in the 20th century. So graduated, got into politics, did that for a few years, tried my hand at traditional finance as a Series 7 analyst, doing municipal bonds, municipal credits, doing analysis on those for a major investment company. Then I took a flyer on a startup back east. Very interesting story. They were called Value America. They were in 1998 trying to do what Amazon does today. So sell everything on the net, washing machines, cars, toothpaste. We were trying to do that. Value America. We went public in April of 99. Everybody was rich. Everybody was excited. And then each day after that clicked downward. I had in mind law school for the last 2 years previous. So when it looked like the company was closing, and it eventually did, I jumped back to law school again, University of San Francisco, where I was undergrad, enrolled in the law school, and graduated in 2002. Did estate planning until I got picked up by a global investment platform that was beginning. And they had a focus of investing in India, which in 2004 was kind of crazy. It was before the JP Morgans and the Goldman Sachs. And I would tell people we're starting funds, and we're starting a fund, and we're going to invest in India. And everybody said, "Are you crazy?" And this and that. So we founded a team in Mumbai, and I was able to travel there. My first trip to India, very, very special, very eye-opening. Any event, several years as COO to an alternative investment firm. We did India, we did China, we did Singapore. And then from there, I left to become outside counsel for technology for a Fortune 500 company. For them, I did deals in the $5 to $15 million size, buying software technology, software services in India with some of the people I knew already for the previous years. So we worked with Infosys, and we worked with Wipro, and we worked with Satyam, and we worked with all the BPO names that are now huge, mega names. So several years technology contracting, got nearly moved to Singapore in 2011. And then from there was hired at another asset management firm, private family office. That was a 5-year tour of duty. We had a major litigation. We had two major litigations, one in state court, one $400 million in federal court. So I was wearing two hats as manager of an asset management company, and lawyer tending to these various cases with our outside counsel. And that's one of the things that opened my eyes to see being a lawyer who was a lawyer working as a lawyer, but also a client of lawyers, if that makes sense. So several years having a lawyer to represent me and the companies in a litigation. And then COVID hits, right? We're all familiar with the pandemic. It changed everything. I saw they are the most brilliant lawyers in the U.S. They are recognized in the Bay Area, but I saw my lawyer who's been at it since 1971, a year before I was born. He's been in practice, and I watched this bear, this lion of the courtroom, get reduced to a 20-inch Zoom screen.
Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute, what's happening here? We're doing court on a Zoom screen. We're doing everything on a Zoom screen. So it was a major catalyst event. We relocated from Truckee, California by Lake Tahoe to Dallas, Texas market in August of 21. And since I've been here, I'm doing two things: corporate, legal, and dipping into AI very heavily with my project I call Project Gist. So
Awesome.
Long-winded, but that's the story.
No, I think that's what we're seeing a lot of, is this like hodgepodge in industries, and then coming to AI and wanting to help those industries adapt and adopt that
1,000%.
AI.
1,000%.
And AI kind of helps bring a lot of those threads together, we've found, for people as well.
Well, I mean, we said the internet was the information superhighway, and AI is like the information mega superhighway. It's like the internet 10x.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just quickly, slightly off topic from AI, but I'd be really curious to hear about, you mentioned that, you saw like, call them like a lion of the legal profession reduced like a screen. Has the law profession changed in terms of how you guys do your work with just Zoom alone?
1,000%. 1,000%. It's not a minor modification, and it's not a tinkering. I mean, the pandemic was a tinkering. The pandemic was a major megaton bomb. And I'll just tell the story that you ask about. You have 40-year lawyers. And if we think about it, we're all aware, it's very theatrical. I mean that in a good way.
Right.
When a super lawyer litigator goes into a courtroom, they have perfected over 40 or 50 years in some cases, each pattern gesture, the physicality of it. So when they can raise their eyebrow and do something with the judge that no other attorney can do, their behavior is studied. The mechanics of it are all aimed at getting to the goal, whatever the particular goal is in that moment.
Right.
We have a catalogic information of what the case requires. And so for me, seeing that whole thing be swept away and seeing that same lawyer on a screen, and he's adjusting his volume and image, and I'm adjusting my volume and image, it's a little like Superman without the cape.
Right.
And Spencer, that's just one example. So there's kind of like a pre-AI bomb, and then we all know 2023 was the breakthrough year for AI. So what blew up in the pandemic, I believe, AI then came in and said, oh, here's the solution. Here's the new modality. And so we're on to not changing the way we do it. I believe we are doing a brand new thing.
Yeah.
Lawyers must do a brand new thing. And the scary thing is, it's not known what we're supposed to do. I see a cat there.
Yeah.
What's a cat name?
That is Bear. He's not actually
mascot.
allowed on he's not allowed on the counter, but whenever I'm on a podcast, he seizes the moment of my distraction.
Rascal. Bear is a rascal.
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
Well, Cyrus, so tell us about Project Gist. What's the goal there?
So the goal is to turn law into thought.
That sounds like a lot boiled down into a small statement. What does that mean?
Yeah. So if we think about the way that law gets delivered and has always been delivered for the last, say, couple hundred years, right? You have an expert and a non-expert paradigm. You have one who has all of the information and one who does not. You have one who has all of the power in the system and one who does not. And so the non-expert comes to the expert and says, you have the information, you have the power, will you help me? And the expert says, sure, I will. First thing you do is make a deposit of a retainer, right? I'm going to need X dollars, and then I'll bill against those X dollars. And each time I spend an hour, you'll pay more. The non-expert is always typically, and I've seen large clients and small clients, the client will say to the lawyer, okay, but how many hours? Right?
Right.
The lawyer will, you guys have worked with lawyers too, I'm sure. And the lawyer will say, which is true, it's not a ruse. The lawyer will say to the non-expert, well, that depends.
Right.
That depends on if this happens or if that happens, if this happens. Okay. So we have a system have had a system where the person who is the vendor controls the payment, the valuation metric. Okay, that's how much is paid for this service, right? The duration of the service, okay? And 3, there's a 4 too, but 3, the time that's going to be spent on this service. And the 4 is the information that's going to be used to win in this service. So we have effectively a monopoly of the expert, and the non-expert sits there and says, okay, so I have to pay you whatever you tell me. What happens if I don't pay you? Oh, well, then we exit immediately. Lawyers have a right, if the client's not paying, we can just terminate instantly. So client says, what's the deal? Well, you're going to pay as much as I want. And if you stop paying, it's over. And when we think about some of the different legal issues, is it a car accident? Is it a divorce? Is it a major capital financing? Is it your criminal liability? Is it Donald Trump who's paying $90K a day, guys? $90K a day in legal spend. He's well over $100 million in 3 years. So back to the modality. The attorney has all the power. Client has none of the power. What I saw in the pandemic was, shoot, man, my lawyer's just on the same damn Zoom screen that I am. And also in many cases, he's been around 50 years. He's figuring out the Zoom. I know how to do Zoom. I've been doing Zoom since, and Microsoft Teams and the tools since 2015. So I got my camera set up, blah, blah, blah. So 2020 was a major eye-opener for me. And I think your original question was, how does it change the law? Is that what you asked me? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Just like, what is it? I know you said you want the idea is to turn the law into thought. And I'm curious like what that looks like. What is that? If you could give maybe like an example of something you've seen.
Sure. I painted the current story, which is that expert billable hour modality. That's how most people access law. Think of other ways you can access law. You can read a book, right, which takes a long time and has confusing words in it. You can phone a friend. I have a friend who's a lawyer. Hey, buddy, what's going on with this? You can go to law school, which takes 3 years. You can buy a subscription to LexisNexis or Westlaw, who are the two major law things. But if you're a layperson, the problem there, again, is nomenclature. You're not going to understand what you're looking at. You can search the internet until AI broke through. Whoops, there goes my dogs. They're going after your cats, Spencer.
Run, bear, run.
Bruce and Apollo, the dogs. So think of the ways that you can get access to law. Go to law school, blah, blah, blah. We would search on the internet. There's a problem there, too, with nomenclature. The layperson doesn't understand. Not an insult. They don't have the training in the words. There are terms of art in law. So words have legal meaning. So if you don't know what the word means legally, you only know what it means linguistically, you're going to make a mistake. So searching the internet was fraught with peril. So everything was bifurcated. Everything was everything was sieved. Everything was coned into this expert funnel. Thank you. Everything was funneled into only the lawyer knows. Client doesn't know. During the representation, the client is not taught, by the way. And this is small spend pro bono up to top $3 and $5 million engagements that I've dealt with before. At the end of it, the client knows know more frequently
Mm-hmm.
about that area of law than they did after paying $3 and $5 million. It's because there's an exclusivity of the information. So the lawyer says, let me handle this. I don't want to hear from you. If I have a question, I will ask you. I don't want to hear about Bob. I don't want to hear about the past. Don't tell me that story about blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is relevant. But in the current modality, it all gets bifurcated. Data and information goes to the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
The public can search the internet, read a book, go to law school, talk to a friend, all those things I talked about. AI comes into play. What is AI? What is artificial intelligence? What is machine learning? It's nothing other than a hyper internet. AI is, I say, 10,000x internet. It is threaded data internets that go through our websites, apps, and then even to our operations, right? I sit at a desk as a lawyer. How am I going to do this job? I'm going to pull in this AI tool that becomes part of my workflow as a lawyer. So AI is like 10,000x internets threaded through all of our systems. It's all data based. It's all word based. The law itself, unlike medicine, is no physical bodies. We're dealing with language. And so I say, the other thing I always say is law is data. The law is data. So what AI enables us to do is to take this data and to parse this data and to recombinate this data and to represent this data in one way, in 10 ways, no, in thousands of ways. And you say, which way can you do it, Mr. Lawyer? How's it going to change? It's going to change how the lawyers decide to build. What decides to get built? And are we going to have lay people building legal AI? Or are we going to have lawyers building law AI? Lawyers don't know how to code. Coders don't know how to law. Project Gist takes the coder, the developer, the dev, and the lawyer, and we make teams. We call them twin
Okay.
teams. We have a lawyer and a developer in a discrete jurisdiction. And by jurisdiction, I'm sure you guys know would mean the country that they're in, where that law governs, the state that they're in, where that law governs, and every 50 state is different, the county that they're in, and then the subject matter area of the law that they're in. They're a car accident attorney, they're a personal injury attorney, they're a compliance attorney, they're, you name it. So Project just turns law into thought by joining twin teams of developer and lawyer, both technical, by the way. I'm not non-technical, 22 years corporate. I'm highly technical. People say, you technical? I'm highly technical. But my discipline happens to be the esoterica of corporate law. And I know I can't write code, so I need my buddy here. So we make twin teams all around the world to create what I have termed bespoke law bots. And so long-winded. I'm sorry, guys. We booked for 30 minutes. I'm going to go 90 minutes. What is this?
That's fascinating.
But I can tell you more about the law bots. You just drill down, or what else can I share?
I'd love to hear more. I think it's a really interesting value proposition because I've long had an interest in law. I did competitive debate in high school, and so it's like, I always got the comments from people that I should go into law, and I didn't want to, but I still have had a fascination with law for years, and so I think that something like this is really, really important because, for all the reasons that you mentioned, but also from like a criminal law perspective as well. There's so many people who simply don't actually understand like the criminal charges levied against them, let alone like, their own defense. And so having a tool like this that can not only enhance, somebody's understanding of the legal situation they're in, but also enhance their communication with their lawyer is huge.
It's a
makes a huge difference.
You're right on frequency, Spencer, and you should probably think about going to law school if you have that bug. You're a young guy. Law is nothing other than language which enables and frees, or which confines and then literally confines, as you say, can literally confine. So I'm biased because I'm a lawyer, but when I talk about AI touching language, I give a premium to the law. The law is most important, maybe among medicine, because that language is what enables or what confines. And so with GIST, I say turning law into thought. This is not for lawyers, but it is for lawyers. It's not for the layperson, and it is for the layperson. So we seek to raise understanding of legal principles worldwide, because I happen to believe that would make for a more productive world, a more free world, a more liberated world. And also, the last thing I should say, it's not a contra the lawyer-client relationship. It's an additive. So a smarter client is going to ask better questions, get better service from their lawyer. So it's a both hand situation.
I know you. Yeah, that's amazing. I love this idea of empowering both, which is like a multiplicative effect there of empowering both the client and the lawyer. And I know you mentioned briefly the medical field. I feel like law and medicine are the two almost black box industries for the layperson, right? There's so much nomenclature and this foreign language that you don't understand. And this is an area I have been so excited for AI to reach and touch. And are you seeing pushback from lawyers, Cyrus? I could see, I mean, like, I know doctors are pushing back where they're like, hey, this is my world, back off, AI. Like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need you. Are you seeing similar stuff from lawyers?
Do people love revolutionaries?
Never.
No, they don't. Your podcast is called AI Rebels, right? I'm assuming that indicates some lean into the people who are going and blowing up the boxes metaphorically with concepts and tools and content.
Exactly.
Yeah. The law is a trillions of dollar industry, okay? Trillions and growing. There are structures, real structures, not ad hoc structures, but real structures of power that, God love them, everyone's in their own self-interest. That's humanity. Each person in their own self-interest. People will protect what matters to them, okay? So Harvard Business School, the B School, Harvard Business School once called the law firm the most successful profit center in human history. Let me repeat. Harvard Business School that studies everything from, your private equity, your venture capital, everything in history. The law firm, large corporate law firm, is the most successful profit center created in human history. So I don't really have to beg the question too much. What I'm suggesting is that we're going to be doing things, and not by choice, by necessity, in a whole new way as the lay public, and as, for instance, CFOs, COOs access Harvey, or they access GPT, or they access whatever other AI tools are out there. People, non-lawyers, are becoming legally educated outside of those structures. Will there be an Empire Strikes Back? There already is. If you've heard of Do Not Pay, is one leading example. Do Not Pay was a company that still around, great company, by the way. They said, we're going to build the first law robot. We're going to build a law robot. What they built was a piece of code that would inform the user on how to do law. So a non-lay person, think of it, that you mentioned the doctor, a lay person doing surgery. Here's how you do surgery, because we lawyers, the law is the same thing. It can be life and death. So do not pay. Robot lawyer, we're going to teach you how to do the law yourself. What happened? I think it was 48 out of 50 state bars, cease and desist letter. We're shutting you down, okay, for the dreaded, what's called UPL. UPL is the acronym for unauthorized practice of law, okay? Lawyers have a license to practice law. Non-lawyers don't have a license to practice law. The argument was a piece of software is not a lawyer. It cannot practice law. And again, in case you're not aware, the ethical rules in states are not like in many and most states, they're criminal in nature. They're not only civil. So if you practice law without a license, it's a criminal sanction, like jail, fines, sanction, in addition to losing your license, getting sanctioned. So do not pay was notified, and I think they got too far over their skis, is how I look at it, and how I would distinguish our current circumstances and what I'm doing. They had, if you can even imagine this, at one point they had suggested that their clients get earbuds and put them in, and they said, you can go into court with your earbuds and you can type your queries. It will tell you, it will give you the answer. I think that's a bridge too far, right? So it's a bridge too far. Do not pay. Great company. I love them. They're still doing great work in AI in various fields. But that was like an early indicator. And so it didn't take too long for 48 states to say, you're in big trouble. Is it a threat to the power structure? Yes. What I'm trying to evangelize is do not see this as a threat. Because it's going to be the new mandatory AI. You cannot stop it. Data will be crunched. So, Mr. Lawyer, Miss Lawyer, your interest is in doing what you do well, but let's amplify it with AI. Let us make it bigger. Let us put it in a context, and let us break down some of those walls that I talked about earlier of the power imbalance, the information imbalance. And then the last piece of good news would be, you mentioned medical. The piece of great news is this has been done already. What we are attempting, what we are accomplishing in law, we had in the 90s when you guys were in elementary school or something, or born. Tell me you were born, please. I hope. In the 90s, a company called Medscape came into fruition, 1994 or 5. They said, we're going to digitize medicine. And people said, you're crazy, you're unethical, and you're dangerous. These are physical bodies. People are going to see something on the internet and people will die. Medscape eventually was purchased by another company that we know very well, WebMD. You guys probably grew up knowing that you could go on the net with your sniffles or your, scratch on your arm. I can go online and not self-diagnose, but to an extent, I can get information, because prior to that, when I was a youngster, I'm 52. When I was a youngster, you go in with the doctor and it all was reposed in the doctor's mind. And so you must pay the doctor. Insurance pays the doctor. Medscape, WebMD digitized much of medicine. And I would lastly say that we're going to have an even easier time with law because we don't have the physicality. We don't have the bodies, right? We're dealing with tools which can readily be streamed over the internet. Long-winded again. Sorry. You guys out. You guys out.
No worries. This is why we brought you on. We're here to listen and learn from you, and we're here for our listeners to learn from you as well.
You guys are great.
I'd be curious. This is a little out there, but what do you think are the odds, like within the next 5 years, of a fully AI lawyer? Obviously, like let's pretend that the legal questions of like could this happen are set aside.
Yeah, I mean,
let's just pretend that's allowed. Yeah.
Right. No, it passed the bar. And I have on my Substack, aicounsel.substack.com, I have talked about things like robot juror, for instance, right? So it sounds crazy, but you have 12 humans on a jury. What if the 13th juror had perfect access to the record of the case, all the admissible information, and the law was crystal clear in the robot's mind? Could this robot be a tool to talk to the rest of the jurors to inform them? And then the question
That's
would be,
interesting.
well, then who's deciding? Are the people deciding, the robot deciding? It was the head of innovation, I believe, for Goldman Sachs, who said in the last 2 months, we ought to have an AI member of the board of directors in the hypothetical,
interesting.
not of Goldman Sachs, but he was talking about in the hypothetical of an idea that a board could have an AI board member. And again, unlike the human, which forgets, gets tired, makes things wrong, gets emotional, right? We get emotional. The AI board member would have perfect recollection of all the minutes of the meetings, all the mandates of the company, the business plan. So back to your question about an AI lawyer, is it possible? It would depend upon very much the context. It would depend upon the area of law that was being contemplated. I could see it work in 5 years in certain segments and not work in others, is my short
That
answer.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious with I know you talked about the mission of GIST. How, like, what stage is it? Are people using it now? Is it
Yes.
still building yeah? And is it
Yes.
restricted to certain states? I know you mentioned different jurisdictions, everything like that.
So GIST is a 2-year-old project. And I still call it a project because we are on our way to being a company. We're not yet a company, we're a project. So we have built several series of products that we have. We have lawyers using it. We have lay people using it under our auspices. Probably the biggest thing, proof of concept, would be doing a demo for the State Bar of Texas. So that was in January of this year. And they had an interesting problem. I don't mind sharing. It's not confidential. And these are the kind of just the minutia, but if you just allow me to lead you through it real quick.
Yeah.
There are something like 264 counties in Texas. And I think I
Big
got
state.
it wrong. I think in my pitch I said 264, and she said, we're 266, Mr. California, having moved here 3 years ago. But so they have 260 some odd counties. When a lawyer who's litigating in a county is going to go on vacation, they will write a letter to the court and say, I'm going on vacation from December 1st to December 15th. They stamp it, they mail that letter to the court. A woman at the court clerk's office opens that envelope and sits in a chair and types into the court computer, Mr. Jones, and here's his contact information, will be out of, the country or whatever on these dates. They cannot schedule any hearings during that date. That's why they do that. Opposing counsel can't get up to any mischief. Like the guy or gal is on vacation and the opposing counsel says, I'm going to trick him. I'm going to file this motion. They can't, nothing happens. Everything stops in the case. But you have 260 plus counties that are doing this process. Some of them are emailing. Good for them. Most of them are doing the vacation letter. So
a physical letter that's mailed in.
Physical letter because again, think in the law and convention. It has their signature on it. An email can be sent by staff. Maybe the date is wrong, right? In the email that's sent. Whose fault is it? The court makes a mistake. They want almost like writing a check, right? We sign our checks, except for electronic payments. But the lawyer sent, so it's a convention of the older, okay? 3 state bar presidents, 1, 2, 3, came in. It's a 1-year term, I believe. 3 state bar presidents came in and said, I'm going to fix the vacation letter problem, right? Because it's a lot of work. It's a hassle. The new bar president came in last year, and I said, I can build something for you. What are you going to build? And I thought, just getting into it, again, I'm in year 1. So we built an experimental smart calendar an online calendar where you can go in and type in a calendar. And then I said, no, wait a minute, a bot. So we built a bespoke bot that was basically a simple interview bot. Go to this link. Hi, Mr. Jones. What's your name? Spell it right. What's your email? Do it right. What's your phone number? Do it right. What dates are you out? Do it right with a confirmatory. Here's your name. Here's your email. Here's your thing. Here's your dates out. Are all these incorrect? Are all these correct or incorrect? Yes, correct. Submit. These bot messages go directly to each court into their electronic filing system, which is what we had in mind. We began with doing just email. It'll generate an email. Yeah. So State Bar, 75,000 lawyers. We built a solution. It happened that they did not want to go with our solution. And so you learn a valuable lesson in startup land, which is you can put your whole heart into it and believe, we're going to do this. We're going to have this great. And then it doesn't happen. And so on a personal level, and you guys, AI rebels is startups, right? Or people. Right. So I'm going to do a deal with these great guys and we're going to be off to the races. And then they decline. And then you have to say, shoot, it's a crummy product. Shoot, I'm crummy. Shoot, I'm supposed to be practicing law. What am I doing building technology with my partners? And so, but then going through that, I said, no, wait a minute. The expanse of time, weeks after that, I said, still in all, they're still doing what they were doing now, today, on November of 2024. Ours would have given an instant solution. So not everybody's ready to adopt soon.
Yeah.
And again, I'm off track with your question another time. Sorry. Jabbermouth. Jabbermouth. But just
that's
as 2
a
years
fascinating
old,
example.
Yeah. Just as 2 years old, you asked about traction and where we are. 2 years old, have my third back-end developer. I won't tell you about the first two. I'm working with a third back-end developer. I have done not one, but 3 applications to YC. Mm-hmm. I did December 22. I did December 23. And then in February of 24, they send me an email. We want to hear from you. You guys turned me down twice. I put my blood, sweat, and guts into it. Is this a form email? Do you send this to everyone who applied? Yeah. No, this is for you with my name. So okay, let's go a third time. So I recruited a CEO, young guy who's into code, because I'm, as I mentioned, older. I don't think I'm old, but any event, the YC is a certain demographic. Recruited a younger CEO to run it. They turned us down again. At the same time, I had OpenAI last year. OpenAI said, apply for a super alignment grant and we'll give you $3 or $5 million. And I said, I want $3 or $5 million because, we all do, right? We all do. But in this case, our project, as you might imagine, is very GPU dependent. It's very bandwidth dependent. So $3 million is nothing when you have Sam Altman talking about trillions, right? Billions and trillions. Yeah. So 3 million, I said, that's enough seed. That's going to get this thing up and running. Applied almost as an exercise with OpenAI, did all my stuff and said, well, this would be a good learning experience, which I did. It was great. Applied in December of 23 and then just put it to bed. It's not going to happen. And then in March, I get an email from them saying, you're still in contention and we're going to make our decision by the end of the month. And I said, wow. Holy macaroni, Batman. So that email commenced, as you might guess, about 48 hours of hard striving to bring the best and greatest in tool demo and information, refining my message, telling them exactly what we are, what we're going to do, getting that into OpenAI. They said they let me know by the end of March. The end of March came and went. I get very nervous the first week of April. It's Easter, and I kind of send a gentle ping to my contact there, and my email bounces back. Undeliverable. I said, oh, no. Wait a minute. And again, the mind wanders. I said, my plan was so crazy that they think I'm crazy. Someone's blocked my email, man, because the person I was corresponding
Even the
with,
AI guys think I'm
you
too
know, I
crazy.
send them all this stuff. He sent me the confirm, I've got it. And then I didn't hear anything for weeks. And then I send the email, hey, I'm gentle ping, I'm just checking in. And it bounces back. And I'm like, what the heck? So it turns out that person it wasn't me, that person had been depersonnelled by the company. And then about a day later, I get an email saying, thanks for playing. We're not going with you. But we had 2,000 applicants and we chose 50. So thinking that I'm up there in the last month, that's enough for me. I'll bank on that, right? I'll bank on that. There's enough juice here that these guys didn't say, you're a total clown show, Johnson, 22-year lawyer trying to do code. You're a clown show. I'm not a clown show. Sometimes I am. Ask my wife and kids. But as to the project, I dream about it, guys. It's in my dreams. And I tell people I don't have an idea. The idea has me. And I firmly believe that. So I am straddling the law world and, you know, running a law practice solo, but with partners, affiliate lawyers, doing legal business, and then always going over here. And my wife's like, Johnson, do your bills. You're out clowning again with your texting. So there's my incubator summary. I've talked to 3 venture funds who reached out to me. One of them, I don't mind sharing. One of them said, you're too soon. Let us know when you have money. One of them just said no. One of them said, I want to talk to you in 60 days. So we're going to talk to them in 60 days. I'm pursuing SSI. You may be familiar with them. The spinoff of OpenAI. Mm-hmm. They don't know me. I don't know them. But they're trying to do AI in a super aligned, safe way. You probably know the story. I won't go into it. So I'm pursuing them. And then, of course, other large venture firms. I've been offered seed capital. Just this week, I declined seed capital because my wife says, because you're crazy. I said no, because it wasn't a fit. We always, again, this comes from, I've been on the investment side as a lawyer, guys, for 20 years. So I've seen people receiving money for 20 years, and my clients were the investors mostly. I've helped entrepreneurs and companies to receive money, but I'm familiar with the optics and the process. So someone this week, I'm going to give you seed money. And then we had meeting, and I said, wait a minute, it's not a compatible fit, right?
Yeah.
One thing I tell clients is, who are raising money, not all angel investors are angels.
Right.
Right? There are two
Good
kinds
advice.
of angels. There's 2 kinds of angels. And even the desire to have seed capital cannot overcome your right reason to say, do I want to work with this person? Can I work with this person? And it might not be their fault. It might be your fault. You know, I'm not compatible. I'm going to annoy the hell out of them, or they're going to annoy the hell out of me, and it will eat into our productiveness. Yeah. So still a project, getting very close. I've triggered this year. I'm going to have capital in by the time I toast my Martinelli's on December 31. So I'm in the
Love
thick
it.
of it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think it's a really powerful vision. And to me, I feel like the powerful visions are what end up winning out. It's startup business is a crapshoot, right? Like I've been around it my whole life. My dad was in startups his whole life. So it's like, it's a crazy world out there. But yeah, the thing that I find most common between our guests who have, successfully raised money and those who have not is just the conviction more than anything. People are investing in conviction. That's something that I've learned from this as well, is talking to people, week in and week out, bringing someone new on pretty much every week this year. It's all a conviction play. And AI is a good thing to be convicted in my opinion.
Well,
it's not going away.
Yeah, I've got lots of co-investors. I'm just trying to find the go investors, as I say. And
Yeah.
the conviction thing, you guys can tell, I have always been sort of non unconventional in the law. I would derive results for my clients that were not, that were um, multi-factored. We tend to be very binary as humans. So we
Mhm.
have, the lawyer, and here's what I do in this decision tree. And I've always
Yeah.
been more open sourced. Don't open the sauce, guys. It's too early. But open sourced in my thinking. I believe that
Mhm.
expanding your alternatives and your perspective, and then
Hmm.
having a menu to choose from. I've got a bit of the Asperger's, I'm told. But so my point is on raising funds, a conviction thing. I know this is going to happen. And I believe I'm the person appointed at this time to make it happen.
Yeah.
So in terms of all the EACC things we see on X, you locked in. I'm locked in when I sleep. This thing
Yeah.
has me, this thing has me locked in. And also another sort of occupational hazard that I deal with, in addition to what you're saying, Spencer, is that when we are building a future reality, which is what we're doing. We're building a
Mhm.
future reality with tools that are not fully yet developed, right? It's
Right.
going to involve some guesswork.
Right.
And I could be right or I could be wrong, but with the button down investor class, I have plenty of people tell me, I'll give you blah, blah, blah. Like I said, co investors, not go investors. When you hit 100K quarterly revenue, I'll write you a check. Okay,
Right.
fine. Okay, fine. You go find another company with 100K. You want 100K in revenue? Buy a string of McDonald's. But so I'm in for the revolution of the law that I
Yeah.
believe is happening. I'm already pushing. It was Grok. People clown me on that too. On my X, AI Counsel Dallas on X. The banner is AI Law Thought Leader. And I've only been on X for less than 9 months, verified. And I just started writing all these concepts of the future for law. And then somebody searched on Grok, who is Cyrus Johnson? And it said he's thought leader. So um,
Hey.
I take that up proudly. And people say,
Yeah.
who are you, you clown? You have no founding anything. I said, I'm 22 years into practice. I'm envisioning where this thing is going. And I can see, because I've been through thousands of iterations with my clients,
Yeah.
meetings, billings, controversies, upset, lawsuits. This AI is what's missing in the law. AI
Yep.
will save the law. And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm locked in.
I love
I like
that.
that.
And that's honestly, that's what we're seeing more and more is like, a- it feels like a lot of industries have stagnated in innovation and progression, right? And it seems like there's just been this missing piece for so long, and all of a sudden AI comes in and just fills that, and it seems like it opens up new horizons for, I mean, every single industry that we can at
AI
least
Yes.
look
provides
into.
what's missing in the law. I can't give you my whole business plan or the recipe of what we're baking, but I can say, going back to the very beginning, the information arbitrage between the old professional model and the client is being broken down. Not
Yeah.
that it will be, it
Mhm.
is. You can go on GPT.
Yep.
I'm getting divorced. What do I do, GPT? And you're going to get great content.
Yeah.
So the information arbitrage wall shattered. The
Yep.
virtualization after the pandemic, I must go into a courtroom. I must go into my lawyer's office with the conference room. Think about you guys are too young. You guys are too young. You would go to your lawyer, you're a corporate guy, you're working CEO, CFO, COO of a major corporation. I've got to see my lawyer. You would go cross town to downtown San Francisco. You go into the California building, 101 California, 555 Bush Street, the B of A Tower. You go up, or more likely, where my lawyer was, with a view of the Bay Bridge. With a view of the Bay Bridge, um, you'd go in there as an important person. You'd be treated like an important person. Do you want a coffee? You want a thing? You want a latte? Come in and see our view. You would look at a view of the bay. San Francisco Bay Bridge. This is wonderful. They'd seat you in a beautiful conference room with really expensive furniture. And you would say, shoot, this is great. The lawyer would come in with the nicest Italian bespoke suit, briefcase, $30,000, Italian, watch. And you would say as the client, man, I'm important. They're important. This situation is important.
Yeah.
Pandemic shattered all that. Nobody wants validated parking anymore.
Right.
Nobody's going to leave their room anymore.
Right.
This is not for guys like us. This is for the CEO class and the founder class, and I would say the investment class too. We all realized we can get it done from right where I am. And so with the law, that means you're either going to get in on that game or you're not in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep telling people to come to your office and fill out a clipboard. Keep trying that. Keep trying that. So I talk too much. Sorry, guys.
No. You're
This is
good.
perfect. This is what we bring guests on for. Like we love when a guest just has a ton to say. Honestly,
I've got fun. I can
takes
go on and
takes.
on. I hope
Yeah.
that's what's coming. I hope that's what's coming through. This is more of
Yeah.
a. I'm not doing something. It's a mission. It's a mission
Yeah,
that I'm
yeah.
on.
And I think it's important to notice that you're speaking in the past tense for a lot of this. Like it is shattered. Like it's adapt. It's adapt or die right now. It's like you have to,
Right.
like it's already done. And
I
now
live in a
it's,
new
what do
world,
we do
and
now?
only about
Yeah.
half of the people realize it right now.
Right. And I say trillions in revenue, many needs worldwide that are underserved, real life dangers like Spencer's talking about, real life people in liability, right? Criminal peril, civil peril, and a lack of information, and the law is data, and we can use AI to recombine this data into
Love it.
tools that help people. And the solutions right now are my lawyer telling me pay him or her, or they're going to quit, and I get no information. If you are of the corporate class, the Big Four accounting, PwC, you can hire Harvey. And Harvey will come in and build you the best stuff. Awesome. Great. If you're not on that corporate class, if you're a person, if you're a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to go on GPT. You're going to go on Gemini. You're going to have Perplexity open. I don't know about you guys. I keep Perplexity open. That's my lead browser. Perplexity is a different product than internet search. But my point is, you have a legal problem. You now have all these sources that are available to you, and these will grow. But finally, does that mean that we're going to do surgery on ourselves? Is that the best move? No. So that's what Project Gist is. It's that third way. We're going to make lawyers AI plus. You're going to be AI plus lawyer. We are going to bring you into the AI age, and how you're going to teach. You're going to give. You're going to tell. I'm not going to tell. I want the retainer, and then I'll tell. You're going to tell. You're going to tell, because a smarter public is a more productive society and a better client for you. And guess what? GPT is already telling on you. So, Mr. Lawyer, Miss Lawyer, do you want a voice in the AI revolution? I'm calling you. I want
Come to
10,000
Gist.
lawyers. Our goal is 10,000 lawyers. And as I mentioned, the special sauce, 10,000 lawyers and 10,000 developers.
It's exciting.
We built twin teams. They haven't sued me yet or sent me a cease and desist, but I call it Hippie Harvey. We're building Hippie Harvey, which is open source, peer-to-peer, expert, giving, low cost, platform agnostic. You developer, use what tool works for you. You're going to be in a marriage with a lawyer, which is a whole nother funny deal when we put people together.
I mean, this is amazing, Cyrus. Thank
It
you for the
is.
work you're
Yeah.
doing. And I feel, as a very non-technical person in the law, I feel hopeful and excited that I have tools at my disposal that I can be empowered to not be at the whims and mercy of the law. You know, I can know what's going on and how to confront any
No
issues in the
self
future.
surgery, no self surgery, no billing to the moon, no giving up your life and your destiny to a man or woman in a suit who says, "Hold my beer." Don't
Yeah.
talk, hold my beer. I'll handle this. And for the lawyers, it is a vista. I'm offering a hand. I'm extending a hand. Here's a vista. Cyrus is your friend. I'm here in Dallas. McKinney is the AI capital of
That's right.
Texas. That's where we're founding with other companies. And so please reach out to me. I want to talk to you, my fellow lawyers,
Yeah.
about what you can do in short order.
Yeah. And Cyrus,
Virtually,
in that vein, if people do want to follow you, if they want to reach out to you, what are some of the best platforms? If one, if they want to contact you, two, if they just want to follow this project along.
yeah. So you can go on Substack. You can look at aicounsel.substack.com. I'm a big fan of X. I think X is the leading intellectual and builders free speech social media tool.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like it has existed in history. We just saw it. We just saw it do direct democracy. We just saw open source debate. That's democracy. People punching it out. So I'm on X at AI Counsel Dallas, and I'd love to, link up with you there. If you're a
Awesome.
lawyer, the concrete pitch, the elevator pitch is, I'll build AI for you. Just will build AI for you. In months and cost $1 million? No, in a week.
Mm-hmm.
In a week. Cost you what? Cost you nothing, lawyer. You have the value. You have the brains. So reach out if you can.
Love it.
Here go the
We'll
dogs
drop those
again.
links.
Sorry.
They're saying goodbye. Yeah.
I really appreciate the time. The invitation was very warmly received. I did see some of your other shows. I know who was on the immediate show before me, the great Scobalizer.
Yeah.
I did a whole video.
Scobalizer.
You go to my Substack. Robert is a legend. I'm one of his fanboys, one of his biggest fanboys, and I did a video on him on my Substack. So I'm super honored to be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, enjoy meeting
thank
you
you so much.
guys and love to follow up again.
Yeah, we'd
Awesome.
love to see where this goes. We'll stay in contact. Thanks so much,
Right
Cyrus.
on. Okay, guys. Cheers.